Hey guys, this is Dave Lamont here again with Full Send Hunting and in association with Archery Idaho. So we're going to do a quick little jaunt here on releases and what you should be looking for, what you want. It's real simple, man. We're not going to do nothing crazy. Basically, the gist of it is this release right here would be more of a target release / hunting release. So it's a good combination of both. You can use a trigger, you can use back tension, and it's also activated by your thumb versus your pointer finger, which helps with trigger panic or target panic, punching the trigger, things like that. This would be what we call a hinge release. Okay. Now this release is basically activated by motion of pulling through the shot. So it sits on like a half moon design, okay? And it sits on the edge of that, and as you pull through your shot, basically that will eventually it will get to a point where it crosses over and that moon won't hold it anymore. So it basically falls off, hinge rotates, shot goes off, okay? What's great about a hinge release is it will teach you to aim better, okay? It will help you to hold on your target longer, because you have to go through the process. Like, you really have no control over the shot. Now, over time, you do use them long enough, you can anticipate the shot. So that being said, it's a good idea if you're going to do something like that. You know, you're more than likely you're going to be in target archery. I actually use a hinge for hunting. One of the problems with it is not being able to control the shot, but at the same time also being able to slow down your method of thinking and control yourself. And if you're willing to do that, then usually you can come out with a better shot at the end. And you put more emphasis on stalking the animal and watching the wind and corrections and things like that. Now, the most common release for hunting, which is probably what you're going to be into, is a index finger or a trigger release. Okay, so like this one, this would be the True Fire Edge. This is one of the most common releases, #1 hunting release in the world. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, you can beat the heck out of these things. You can bury them in the mud, you can drop them in water, you can do all kinds of stuff. I've never had any problems with it, and I've got releases for, I don't know, the last 10 years still sitting around. Like, I still have them as backups. Okay, one of the biggest benefits is that if you keep these around your wrist, so if you keep that around your wrist, basically that will, it's harder to lose that way. And when you're out in the woods and say you're, lollygagging, you take a nap under a log, you use the restroom, whatever, you set your bow down, you put your release next to it, you forget about it. Well, if you're using a thumb release, you don't think about that, right? Usually it's sitting in your pocket. It doesn't really hang on your bow. So that's the nice thing about a wrist strap, is that you can connect it to your hand at all times or connect it on your bow. Bottom line, I recommend there's 2 places this thing ever sits: on your bow and on your wrist. Now, also with that, the one thing that's nice about it is that it's also adjustable. It's got leather. It's super comfortable. It's just a great all-around release. So it's more the mid-range price, about $90 or so. But it is a very good beginner release. Now, when I first started, I basically had like a $30 release from Sportsman's Warehouse. I mean, it wasn't nothing fancy. However, it did do the trick, and they are accurate. Now, sorry, I'm trying to get this thing back in the box here. So one thing that's good about being able to try a release on is you can find out how comfortable it is for you. You can find out the trigger tension, how it feels when you release the shot. So I always recommend going to a pro shop when you go to buy your release. Some of these bigger box stores, they'll have them, but they can be kind of finicky. You can see I'm playing with this one, trying to get it back in the box, and the box is all tore up. Well, it's tore up because in my shop, I let people try it out, because it doesn't make sense I mean, if you go throw this on and you shoot your bow with it and you absolutely hate it because you don't like how it makes you anchor or you don't like how it feels on your wrist, well, then that's a problem, because now you either lost money, you lost the receipt, you can't take it back, you know, for whatever reason. So I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt. If they don't like the release, they keep the packaging, they keep it in really good shape. I always let it come back and we'll make a swap, and then I let people know that one's been shot before I resell it. So that's a good release. The other thing is it's got dual jaws, which close together around the D-loop, so it's really great for safety. Another one is the hook. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little hook there instead of dual jaws. Not a big deal. You just got to make sure you preset that trigger, push it forward, and yeah, I mean, there's basically, when it comes to price, you're paying for brand name, adjustability, and comfort. I mean, that's, you know, so adjustability being in the shaft length itself, or the buckle length, you know, how it goes on and off. Some use a BOA system, which is like a like your snowboard boots for your bindings. So that would be something like this, like the Wise Guy. It's got a BOA system. You pop it, tightens the cables in around your wrist. Has a static bar, so it's nice and stiff. Still uses a hook, but you could also go with like the Tough Guy, which is a single hook, but it has one side that's closed off, so it's still a little more safer. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. Just find one that's comfortable. If you get into the point where you really like being able to adjust the trigger tension, so you want to activate your release more like a hinge. So you put your finger over the trigger, and instead of punching the trigger, you put it on there and pull it through. Well, then you would want to release with a higher poundage. So you can set the trigger tension to a higher poundage or a longer travel adjustment. And by doing that, that allows you to hook over and pull through the shot versus punching the trigger. But the nice thing about that is it allows you to play with the wind scenarios. So, you know, it's really calm, and then all of a sudden a gust comes up. You don't have to pull through your shot. You can punch a trigger as that animal is walking through the woods. So look at different options. You know, Trophy Ridge makes a really great release for the money. Super adjustable. You know, nothing fancy on the trigger tension and the travel adjustment, but it is a great release. Carter, they're more of a local company. Well, they're local to us in East Idaho. However, they are really, really good. They're on the Target line. True Ball Archery is on the Target line. Spot Hog. A lot of these companies have somewhere podium wins somewhere. I mean, they're phenomenal releases. Now, I recommend you have at least 2 minimum. And when you're putting them on your bow, do not put them around your cams or your limbs, because if your drunk buddy pulls it back, that thing gets wrapped in around the cam. Next thing you know, you're bringing it to a shop to fix. So, or to get pressed so you can get the thing out and hopefully nothing's broke. So, pretty simple. I wouldn't stress too much on thumb releases and hinges. If you're just starting out, I would worry more about the index release fingers or release straps, and go from there for your first hunting setup. That's what I'd recommend. So, I mean, I can shoot just as accurate with a thumb, with a trigger tension as I can with a thumb these days. So, it's more up here than it is anything else. So, well, if you guys got any questions, hit us up online, TikTok, Instagram, basically all the platforms, we're on them, and we're just gonna keep doing little videos like this. So, thanks, guys.